Imagine seeing someone daily, being friends with them, interacting with them as they walk down your neighborhood, not knowing that they're secretly living another life. I'm here today with Rebeca Ramirez, and she's going to tell us the story of how she was befriended by a serial killer. Thank you for being with us today, Rebeca.
Sure, you're welcome. I guess probably the way to start this is to remind you that anyone who lived in Sacramento in the 1980s is going to remember the name of Dorotea Puente. Dorotea Puente moved into the neighborhood. She was a friendly little old lady who seemed very caring and sweet because the minute she moved in there, she started taking in boarders. She took in the disabled and drug addicted that no one else wanted in their homes. So to the neighborhood, she was a bit of a hero. She was an older lady with gray hair and little glasses, and she walked around. She was very friendly. She seemed to have a huge knowledge about herbs. She claimed she was a doctor in Mexico and that she practiced with herbs and knew how to heal things and knew about the healing elements of herbs. So everyone in the neighborhood just thought she was amazing. During Christmas, she made tamales and walked around the neighborhood, handed them out to people.
So you had no clue or suspicion that she was living this secret life?
No, not a single clue. You'd see her walking around. You just thought she was amazing. When she had a conversation with you, she seemed very smart. She, seemed to know what she was doing and knew how to maneuver around the neighborhood and knew how to deal with people. So she was a calculating woman. She even convinced some of the social workers to bring her clients. So it wasn't only she recruiting them. The social workers who had no clue were bringing them to her.
So tell me how her story is tied to you.
I was a neighbor. I got to know her. She walked around the neighborhood. I basically lived one block from her home. She walked around. She basically roamed the neighborhood. We thought it was out for a stroll, but we didn't know she was out on the prowl. And so
Do you remember the first time you met her?
the way I met her, she was walking past my home one day. I was outside sweeping the sidewalk and she stopped and we had a long conversation. And after that, I saw her actually quite a few times around the neighborhood. And like I said, she just seemed like a very friendly woman.
When did you encounter firsthand the death that she caused?
I guess it actually kind of started a little bit before. If you ever walked past her home or you ever even drove past her home, she had a big boarding house. It was a big Victorian home. And if you ever walked toward it, I don't know what hit you first. The beauty of the home, it was just a splendid place because she had beautiful roses growing in her front yard. Either that or just that foul odor. There was always a foul odor coming from her front yard. And apparently she said she would tell neighbors that she was putting some type of a fish fertilizer to have those beautiful roses grow. Little did we know that it was a pungent smell of decaying bodies. So one day I was in my home cooking dinner and I saw the lights of a police car. And I thought, boy, and I looked out and saw that they were in front of her home and I assumed something happened to either she or one of her boarders. So I turned my flame off and as a concerned, neighbor, hurried over to her home to see what was going on. And when I got there, I was shocked to see that there was police tape. The police had cordoned off the entire street. And I asked another person that was standing on the other side of the street with me, I said, what is going on here? And she said, they found a dead body in Dorotea's yard. And my thought was, oh my goodness, someone killed somebody and put him there. I was so concerned for her. I thought to myself, oh my gosh, where is she? Where is she? Is she okay?
So you had no clue or suspicion that she was living this secret life?
None whatsoever. And as they dug up bodies, I was actually there when they unearthed a body that was right underneath a window. They blocked it off with a tarp, but yet you could still see them excavating it. And when they pulled something out of the ground, it almost looked like it was maybe a piece of carpeting or something that was rolled. And as I watched the news, I was horrified that they were actually thinking she may have done that. I was in shock.
At what age did you see all this?
I was in my 20s. I was in my 20s. I had a small child. My son was a year old, and just the thought of somebody out there that was, killing people, and little did we know that, it was her. She was accused of such a horrific crime. It gives me chills right now to think that it. I don't know. Don't know that when she was talking to me, she was targeting either myself or my child. It makes me wonder, what was her motive? What did she have conversations with me about? What did she want to know about me? It actually makes my skin crawl to wonder what it is that she wanted when she walked the neighborhood, and what it is that she wanted when she stopped to talk to me and actually even touched my child. A lot of times when she passed by, I had him in the stroller, and it horrifies me to think of that she may have been after me, myself or my child. It just horrifies me.
I'm sorry to make you relive that moment, but how is seeing that firsthand, how does that affect your outlook and how you view life today?
The thought that she was accused of killing 9 people, a frail old woman, that just horrifies me. And it left me to a state where when people walked up to me to talk to me, or people approached me, I've always, I guess maybe since then, I've lived my life very guarded, because that experience in my life just, I don't know, it left me stunned. It left me scarred, because I just don't know going forward who I really could trust. So it was a very, very, very emotional, very scarring situation for me.
Well, once again, thank you so much for sharing with us. I know that this experience really shaped your outlook and how you are very cautious. What would you tell people who haven't experienced something like this? Would you tell them to be more aware?
I'm sorry, I'm getting so emotional. It's just that, it was a scary part in my life, and it gives me an eerie feeling. The thing, though, is you can't live your life afraid of everything and afraid of everyone. I didn't crawl under a rock. And my son now is grown, and it didn't seem to have affected him at all, because obviously he had no clue about it. It makes me think to tell people, just be careful. Be aware of your surroundings. You can't know about everyone, because obviously I didn't know about her. How could I know that, an American serial killer was befriending me and actually touching my child? She even asked once to hold him. And that I don't know, it makes me sick to my stomach. But like I said, you can't crawl under a rock, and you can't just stop trusting everyone, but just live cautiously. Just look around, make sure you know who your neighbors are. Be aware.
Thank you for sharing your story, Rebecca.
You're welcome.
Just hearing how shocked you were is something that's really going to resonate with me and our listeners.